this video is about. The mom drove past the mall, and the billionaire held her favorite flowers. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. The early afternoon sun draped a warm golden glow over the streets of Harborview, where the scent of saltwater mingled with the fragrance of blooming jasmine. Leila Thornton adjusted the rearview mirror of her aging Honda Civic, a car that had seen better days. The rust on its fender and the faint whir of its engine told a story of frugality and practicality. As she drove past the sprawling mall, with its brightly colored banners fluttering in the light breeze, she felt a pang of nostalgia. Mall trips had once been a cherished tradition with her mother, an escape from the mundane, full of laughter and the occasional splurge on something frivolous. "Focus, Leila," she murmured to herself, shaking off the memories like raindrops from a windshield. She had a busy day ahead. Her 5-year-old son, Max, was waiting for her at home, and she was determined to make it a special evening. After a long week of juggling deadlines at the marketing firm, parent-teacher meetings, and keeping up with household chores, she wanted to give him something to smile about. As she approached a red light, her gaze drifted to the blooms outside a corner florist shop. The vibrant hues of tulips and daisies danced in the sunlight, and she smiled at the thought of the springtime bouquet she used to surprise her mother with every year. Her heart ached slightly at the memory, but she pushed the thought aside. "Maybe I can grab some flowers on the way back," she thought, glancing at the clock. Just then, the light turned green, and Leila pressed the gas pedal, veering slightly away from the mall and its memories. It was a decision she hoped would keep her grounded, focusing on the present and her responsibilities as a single mother. She wasn't averse to a little indulgence, but today it had to wait. As she navigated the familiar streets, Leila's thoughts wandered to the events of the past month. After her divorce, she had poured herself into her work and motherhood, each day a blur of tasks and to-do lists. The little joys, like cuddling with Max during story time, or watching him discover the world through his inquisitive eyes, reminded her of the beauty within the chaos of her life. Suddenly, a glimpse of something unusual caught her eye. In the rearview mirror, she noticed a sleek black car parked outside the florist's shop, an unmistakable luxury vehicle that seemed out of place in her modest neighborhood. Its polished exterior gleamed under the sun, and for a moment she paused, intrigued. Just as her curiosity piqued, a tall figure emerged from the shop's glass doors, the bouquet of flowers cradled in his arms. Leila's breath caught in her throat as the man approached. He had an air of confidence that drew attention, his tailored suit exuding wealth and sophistication. Yet, it was his striking features that held her gaze: the deep-set blue eyes, sharp jawline, and tousled dark hair that suggested a blend of charm and magnetism. He seemed to move with an effortless grace, his every step purposeful yet relaxed. What was he doing here? Leila shook her head, trying to dismiss the fleeting thoughts of intrigue. She had no time for such distractions. Just as she was about to look away, their eyes met. In that brief moment, an electric current sparked between them, igniting a curiosity that she hadn't felt in years. Leila's stomach fluttered unexpectedly, and she chastised herself for feeling anything at all. This wasn't the time for daydreams, or for men, especially ones who belonged to a world so far removed from her reality. As if sensing her hesitation, he paused, a soft smile playing on his lips. There was a warmth in his expression, a genuine kindness that made her heart race in a way that was both thrilling and frightening. When he raised the bouquet slightly, she noticed the familiar flowers, white lilies, her favorites. "Beautiful, aren't they?" he called out, his voice rich and inviting. Caught off guard, Leila felt herself blushing. They are, she replied, surprised by her own eagerness to engage. Do you like white lilies? He probed, taking a step closer, his tone casual yet imbued with a hint of flirtation. I do, she found herself saying, unable to mask the intrigue he elicited. They remind me of spring. Spring, the season of new beginnings, he mused, a thoughtful look in his eyes. I'm Alexander Reed, by the way. He extended his hand, and Leela hesitated for only a fraction of a second before shaking it, feeling a rush of warmth as their palms connected. Leela Thornton, she replied, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. What brings you to this part of town? I could ask you the same, he countered lightly, his gaze piercing yet playful. But I'm here for a very special reason. These lilies are for someone I care about, a little reminder of beauty in life. Are you saying you're a romantic? She teased, the banter flowing more easily than she anticipated. Perhaps, he chuckled, a glint of mischief in his eyes. Or maybe just a man trying to keep a promise. Life's too short not to appreciate the little things. Leela nodded, feeling a strange connection form between them, something unspoken yet palpable. I couldn't agree more. It's the little moments that make all the difference. Just then, her phone buzzed in the cup holder, breaking the moment. She glanced down to see a message from her sister, reminding her of Max's upcoming school performance. With a sigh, she realized the time she had daydreamed away. I should go, Leela said reluctantly, feeling an unexpected pang of disappointment. Before you do, Alexander interjected, a hint of urgency in his voice. Could I take you out for coffee sometime? I'd love to continue this conversation. Leela's heart raced at his invitation. It was absurd, really. She had a full plate, and the last thing she needed was to invite complications into her life. But there was something undeniably magnetic about him, a promise of adventure that felt exhilarating. I'm not sure, she stammered, torn between practicality and a desire for something more. Just coffee, he urged, his eyes searching hers with genuine interest. No strings attached, just two people enjoying a moment. Leela hesitated, contemplating the implications. She had spent so long closing herself off, trying to protect her heart, but there was a flicker of curiosity that dared her to step outside her comfort zone. Okay, she finally said, her voice softer. Just coffee. A smile broke across his face, and she felt a rush of warmth at the sight. Great. How about tomorrow? I know a little cafe that serves the best pastries in town. Tomorrow it is, she agreed, unable to quell the excitement bubbling within her. As she turned to leave, she couldn't help but glance back at him. Alexander stood there, the flowers held delicately in his arms, a picture of effortless charm that promised an unexpected twist in her otherwise predictable life. With one last smile, Leela drove away, her heart racing. As she turned down the street, she caught a glimpse of the black car in her rearview mirror, its polished finish glinting in the sunlight. Thoughts of Alexander Reed lingered in her mind like the fragrance of the lilies he had carried. Tomorrow, she would find out just how deep the layers of this man ran, and she couldn't shake the anticipation that danced along her spine. The promise of new beginnings lingered in the air, brightening her otherwise ordinary day. For the first time in a long while, Leela felt a flicker of hope, reminding her that life, like spring, was capable of blooming anew, even in unexpected encounters. The following afternoon, the sun filtered through the leaves of the oak trees lining the quaint streets of Harborview, casting dappled patterns on Leela's path as she parked her Civic outside the cafe. The familiar scent of coffee and freshly baked pastries wafted through the air, pulling her from the swirling thoughts in her mind. She took a moment to gather herself, smoothing her sundress and adjusting the straps of her purse, a whispered reminder to be composed. After all, this was just coffee, simple, harmless coffee. Yet, Leela couldn't shake the flutter of nervousness that danced in her stomach. She had never been the type to flirt or engage in casual encounters. Her life was built around routines and responsibilities. But since yesterday, her mind had played on repeat the image of Alexander's easy smile and the way his eyes sparkled with mischief. It was a dangerous sort of thrill, one she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. After glancing at her watch, she reminded herself that she was here for Max, who deserved her attention and love. But what was wrong with indulging a little? Leela took a deep breath, steeling herself against the tide of uncertainty, and stepped into the cafe. As she entered, the muted chatter of customers and the clinking of cups enveloped her. She scanned the cozy space, her heart quickening when she spotted Alexander seated at a corner table. There was a palpable ease about him as he leaned back in his chair, his handsome features relaxed, a half-smile playing on his lips as he caught sight of her. "Leela," he greeted, rising to his feet. His presence was magnetic, a stark contrast to the simple surroundings of the cafe. "You look beautiful." A rush of warmth flooded her cheeks and she offered a shy smile. "Thank you, you look very professional." She gestured to his tailored suit, the sharp lines complementing his physique perfectly. "I suppose that's what happens when you're a billionaire," she teased, trying to mask her genuine admiration with lightheartedness. He chuckled, the sound rich and inviting. "Guilty as charged, but I promise I'm just an ordinary guy under all this polish, at least for now." Leela raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Is that so? What's the ordinary part?" "Let's see," he mused, leaning closer as if sharing a secret. "I enjoy cooking, but my attempts at baking usually end in disaster. I'm also a sucker for classic rock music, and I have a soft spot for animated movies. The last one I watched was Finding Nemo. Great story, terrible parenting skills." They both laughed, and Leela felt the tension in her shoulders ease. "I can relate to that. I've had my share of culinary mishaps, too. Max still talks about the time I made spaghetti that turned into a sticky blob." "You're a single mom?" he asked, genuine curiosity etched on his face. "Yes," she replied, her heart swelling with warmth as she thought of her son. "Max is my everything. He keeps me on my toes." Alexander nodded, a contemplative look in his eyes as he absorbed her words. "I admire that. It must be difficult balancing everything." "It is, but I wouldn't trade it for the world," she said, her voice steady. "He brings so much joy to my life." "Family is important," he remarked, almost to himself. "I lost my parents a few years back. I understand how vital those connections are." Leela's heart ached for him. "I'm so sorry," she said softly, wanting to reach across the table to console him. "It must have been very hard." "It was," he replied, a shadow crossing his face. "But it taught me to appreciate the people I have now, to make the most of every moment." He leaned forward, locking his gaze onto hers. "Which is why I'm here, sharing this time with you." A charged silence fell between them, thick with unspoken words and emotions. Leela felt the chemistry crackle in the air, making her pulse quicken. She could sense the depth behind his blue eyes, a mixture of vulnerability and strength that both intrigued and terrified her. "Coffee?" He broke the silence, gesturing toward the server who arrived with 2 steaming mugs. "I thought I'd order for you. I hope you like cappuccinos." "Cappuccino sounds perfect," she smiled, her heart lightening. "You've done your research." "Just a lucky guess, or maybe I'm just trying to impress you," he winked. And for a moment, everything else faded away. The server left, and they launched into a comfortable conversation, the laughter flowing freely between them. They spoke of everything, from their favorite childhood memories to their current goals and dreams. Leela found herself opening up in ways she hadn't anticipated, sharing stories of her mother's unwavering support, her struggles with self-doubt, and her determination to build a bright future for Max. "There were times I thought I couldn't do it alone," she admitted, her voice wavering slightly. "But then Max would do something so incredible, and I'd remember why I fight so hard." "I know that feeling," Alexander replied, his expression earnest. "There are moments when I feel the weight of my responsibilities, and then I have to remind myself of why I started this journey. It all comes down to the people we care about." Their eyes connected, the air thick with understanding. Leela realized that despite the differences in their lives, there was a shared depth of feeling that anchored them together. The server returned with their pastries, a warm almond croissant for him and a chocolate muffin for her. "Dig in," he encouraged, taking a big bite of his pastry with a grin. "The best in town, I promise." As they shared the treats and exchanged bites, laughter bubbled in the air. Alexander's playful side shone through, and Leela found herself mirroring his lightheartedness. It was refreshing, liberating even, to let go of her concerns, if only for a while. "I have a confession," Alexander said, wiping crumbs from his mouth. "I wasn't sure how this coffee date would go. I was afraid you'd think I was just some rich guy out for a thrill." Leela tilted her head, a teasing smile playing on her lips. "And are you?" "Maybe a little," he smirked, his eyes glinting with mischief. "But I'm more interested in real connections. I see how hard you work, how you love your son. That's rare and beautiful." "Thank you," she said, feeling the sincerity behind his words. "It means a lot to hear that from you." The conversation shifted, and they began to discuss dreams. Leela expressed her desire to expand her career, to work on projects that would help local businesses thrive. In turn, Alexander shared his own ambitions, revealing a soft spot for philanthropy, wanting to give back to the community that had shaped him. "You're passionate," Leela noted, intrigued. "It's refreshing to meet someone who cares." "I think we all have a responsibility to make the world a better place in whatever way we can," he replied, his gaze steady on her. There was something compelling about the way he spoke, a conviction in his voice that made her want to lean closer, to understand him more deeply. As the afternoon sun began to cast long shadows in the cafe, Leela felt a warmth grow between them, a connection that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. She realized she hadn't thought about her worries or responsibilities for a while, and it was liberating. Just as she was about to voice her apprehensions, Alexander leaned forward, a serious expression crossing his face. "Leela, I understand if you're hesitant to let someone like me into your life. It's complicated, and I respect that. But I want you to know that I see you, not just as a mother or a worker, but as a person. And I want to get to know you better." Leela's heart raced at his words, the sincerity and depth in his gaze igniting a spark of hope within her. I really appreciate that," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's been a long time since I've allowed myself to feel anything, let alone flirt or even think about romance." "Then let's take it slow," he suggested gently, his tone reassuring. "I'm not here to pressure you, just to enjoy your company and see where this goes." A warm smile broke across her face, and with it came a wave of relief. "I'd like that," she replied, feeling the boundaries of her heart begin to soften. The conversation continued, delving deeper into their lives, and as the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, they wove a thread of connection that felt both fragile and resilient. Leela was beginning to see that perhaps, just perhaps, life could hold more than just responsibilities and routine. There might be room for joy, for laughter, and even for love. As they prepared to leave, Alexander stood, offering his hand to help her up. "I'll walk you to your car." "Thank you," she said, her heart fluttering at the simple gesture. They stepped outside into the cool evening air, the world around them alive with the sounds of the bustling town. "Tomorrow's not too far away," he said. As they walked side by side, the gentle breeze tousling Leela's hair. The air was thick with the promise of nightfall, and it carried a weight of possibilities that sent shivers down her spine. "I have to admit," Alexander began, glancing sideways at her, "I didn't expect our conversation to flow so well. The last few meetings I've had were all so transactional. You know, boardrooms and negotiations." He chuckled softly, shaking his head as if to dispel the memories of stuffy suits and sterile environments. "I can't imagine you in a boardroom, lush silk tie and all," Leela replied, mirroring his light-hearted tone. "You seem more like the type to thrive in a coffee shop, chatting with interesting people." His smile widened, the corners of his lips curving in a way that made him impossibly handsome. "That's exactly where I feel at home. I've always loved the unfiltered energy of places like this, everyone's stories intertwining in a way that just doesn't happen at work." Leela nodded. "It's true. I find inspiration in the most mundane conversations sometimes. It's like a spark can ignite from the simplest exchanges." "Exactly," he exclaimed, his enthusiasm infectious. "And I think that's what makes life beautiful, those fleeting moments of connection like what we had today." Her heart fluttered at his compliment, and she let the words settle within her. "You have a way with words, Alexander. I can see why you're successful," she replied, slightly teasing but also genuinely impressed. "You could charm the socks off anyone." He laughed, a rich, deep sound that resonated through the evening air. "Well, I wouldn't say that, but I do believe in authenticity. People can sense when you're being genuine. It's what draws them in." Leela considered this, feeling the warmth of his words seep into her, a balm against the scars of her past. "I think that's what I've been missing for a long time, authenticity. It's so easy to get lost in the routines, the day-to-day grind of life." Their pace slowed as they approached her Honda Civic, its faded paint and tired exterior standing in stark contrast to the luxurious vehicles around them. Leela felt a familiar pinch of embarrassment, but Alexander didn't seem to notice. "Your car has character," he remarked, eyeing it with a thoughtful expression. "It tells a story. Or it tells you to invest in a new one," Leela joked, rolling her eyes. "I promise it's not as glamorous as it seems." He stepped closer, his gaze steady. "But it serves its purpose, right? Just like you serve your purpose as a mother. Sometimes it's not about the gloss, it's about what it represents." A warmth bloomed in her chest at his unexpected insight. "I never thought of it that way. You make a good point." She fumbled for her keys in her purse, her heart pounding a little harder in her chest. "I should get home. Max will be waiting for me, and I promised him we'd have a movie night." "Sounds like fun," Alexander said, glancing at her with an expression that conveyed genuine interest. "What's on the lineup for tonight?" "Classic animated films," she replied, her tone lively. "He has a special affinity for anything Disney-related. I think he thinks I'm a princess in disguise." "I can see why," he teased, an amused glint in his eyes. "You've got that whole caring single mom vibe down, like a modern-day Cinderella." Leela's cheeks flushed at the compliment, and she ducked her head, hiding her smile. "You're laying it on thick, aren't you?" "Just stating the truth," he replied, his voice low and earnest. "You truly are remarkable. I admire your dedication to him." The moment hung between them, charged with something unspoken. For a heartbeat, Leela felt as though the distance between them collapsed, leaving only the two of them in the world. She could sense the intensity in his gaze, as if he were searching for something deeper within her. "Thank you," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. "That means a lot." He took a step closer, the warmth of his presence enveloping her. "Leela, I know things are complicated, but I want you to know that I'm here, ready to explore whatever this is between us." In that moment, the chaos of her life faded away. The responsibilities, the loneliness, the doubts. All that mattered was the connection pulsing between them, urging her to take a leap of faith. "Maybe we can see where this goes," she said, her pulse quickening. "But I have to be honest, I'm not looking for anything serious. My priority is Max." Alexander nodded, respect evident in his expression. "I wouldn't want it any other way. Let's take it slow. We can just enjoy each other's company, see where it leads." A soft smile broke across her lips, filled with tentative hope. "I'd like that." Just as Leela was about to open her car door, she felt a surge of courage. "You know, Alexander, I've spent so much time focusing on my responsibilities that I forgot how to enjoy life, how to let loose a little. Thank you for reminding me." His blue eyes sparkled under the fading light. "It's my pleasure. Life should be filled with laughter and connection." The moment lingered, thick with anticipation, before Leela broke the tension by stepping into her car. "Well, I guess I should get going, but tomorrow can we do this again?" "Absolutely," he said, his voice warm and inviting. "I'll plan something fun, and I promise to keep the conversation flowing." "Looking forward to it," she said, her heart singing with excitement. "And Alexander." "Yes, thank you for the flowers. They truly made my day yesterday." His smile returned, a radiant light that sent butterflies fluttering in her stomach. "Only the best for a woman like you." With one last lingering look, she turned the key in the ignition, the engine sputtering to life. As she put the car in gear and pulled away, she cast one last glance in her rearview mirror. There he stood, a silhouette against the setting sun, the vibrant colors painting him like a portrait, a promise of new beginnings, a taste of adventure yet to come. As she drove home, Leela's heart raced with anticipation, the familiar streets now feeling infused with possibilities. The idea of a life not just bound by duty, but also filled with laughter and connection was intoxicating. She could feel a shift deep within, an awakening of a part of herself that had long been dormant. Later that evening, as she settled in on the couch with Max, the animated characters danced across the screen, but Leela's mind was elsewhere. She couldn't help but replay the day's events, the laughter, the easy conversation, the undeniable chemistry with Alexander. "Mom, are you okay?" Max's voice pierced through her daydreams, pulling her back to the moment. "Of course, sweetheart," she said, glancing down at him, his innocent eyes filled with concern. "Just thinking." "Thinking about what?" "About how lucky I am to have you," she replied, wrapping her arms around him, feeling his small frame against hers. "And about how there are still adventures to be had, even when things seem tough." Max beamed up at her, his face lighting up the dimly lit room. "I like adventures. Can we go on an adventure tomorrow?" "Absolutely," she smiled, her heart swelling with love for him. "We'll find our own little adventure." As they shared popcorn and watched the characters on the screen, Leela felt a renewed sense of hope blossom within her. Perhaps with Alexander's presence, she could rewrite the narrative of her life, not just as a mother but as a woman ready to embrace the unexpected. Her heart echoed with a sense of promise as the credits rolled, the beginning of a beautiful journey unfolding before her, with the threads of hope woven through every moment. And maybe, just maybe, the world was ready to bloom anew, just like the white lilies that had brought them together. The next day dawned bright and clear, a perfect spring morning in Harborview. Leela woke to the gentle sounds of Max's giggles as he played with his toys in the living room. She stretched, still feeling the warmth of yesterday's coffee date with Alexander enveloping her like a soft blanket. It was difficult to concentrate on the mundane routines of laundry and dishes when her mind kept drifting back to his smile, the way he had leaned in, as if the world around them had faded away, leaving just the two of them. After a quick breakfast that consisted of toast and fruit, Leela decided to take a moment to collect her thoughts before diving into the day's responsibilities. She settled at the kitchen table with a steaming cup of coffee, its rich aroma filling the air. The vibrant flowers from yesterday's bouquet remained on the counter, their presence a constant reminder of her unexpected connection with Alexander. "Mom, can we go to the park today?" Max's voice broke through her reverie, his wide eyes sparkling with excitement. "Of course, buddy, we can have a little adventure before lunch. How does that sound?" She responded, smiling at his enthusiasm. "Yay!" He jumped up, doing a little dance around the small kitchen. In that moment, Leela's heart swelled with love and gratitude. He was her anchor, her reason to keep going, even when the weight of her responsibilities felt overwhelming. As they drove to the park, the sun beamed down, casting a warm glow through the windows of the Civic. Leela felt lighter, her worries momentarily forgotten. The laughter of children playing filled the air as they arrived, and Max dashed toward the swings, his laughter ringing like music. "Mom, push me," he shouted, his eyes sparkling with joy. Leela laughed, her earlier thoughts of Alexander dissipating as she joined him at the swings. As she pushed him higher, her heart swelled at the sight of his happiness. For every moment spent with her son, she felt renewed, energized by the pure bond they shared. "Look at me, I'm flying," Max exclaimed, his arms outstretched as he swung back and forth. "You're soaring high, Max. Just don't let the birds take you away." Leela teased, pushing him with a little more force, the wind catching his hair and sending it flying wildly behind him. After a while, they settled on a bench, enjoying some snacks they had brought along. Max munched on his apple slices, his cheeks flushed from the excitement of playing. "Mom, can we build a fort when we get home, like the ones in the movies?" he asked, his eyes wide with anticipation. "Absolutely. We can use your blankets and pillows. It will be the best fort ever," she promised, her heart feeling lighter with each passing moment. Their playful banter continued until Max's energy naturally waned, and he nestled beside her, resting his head on her shoulder. Leela smiled down at him, running her fingers through his hair as she savored this fleeting moment of tranquility. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket, and she pulled it out, her heart leaping slightly when she saw it was a message from Alexander. "Looking forward to today. Hope you're ready for our next adventure." Leela felt her cheeks heat up, a flurry of excitement dancing in her stomach. She quickly typed back a response, her fingers flying over the screen. "I'm ready, can't wait to see what you have planned." As she hit send, she also felt a familiar pang of anxiety. What if today didn't go as well as yesterday? What if the connection they shared was just a fleeting moment, a bubble that would burst under the weight of reality? She pushed the thoughts aside, willing herself to stay present. After spending a couple of hours at the park, they headed back home. Leela and Max spent the afternoon building the fort he had dreamt of, laughter and joy spilling out as they fashioned a cozy space with blankets, cushions, and fairy lights strung up to create a magical atmosphere. "Mom, this is the best fort ever," Max declared, his face alight with happiness. "It really is, isn't it?" Leela agreed, snuggling beside him within the confines of their makeshift hideaway. "You have a great imagination." Just then, the doorbell rang, causing both of them to jump. Leela glanced at the clock, realizing it was time for her to get ready for her date with Alexander. Her heart raced with anticipation as she excused herself to answer the door. When she opened it, there stood Alexander, looking effortlessly handsome in a casual button-down shirt and dark jeans. He held a small bouquet of flowers in his hand, this time a colorful mix of daisies and sunflowers that seemed to radiate happiness. "For the lady of the fort," he said with a charming grin, his blue eyes sparkling with mischief. Leela felt her heart flutter at the sight of him, the warmth of his smile washing over her like sunlight. "You didn't have to bring flowers again, but thank you. They're beautiful. Just a little something to brighten your day," he replied, stepping inside the house. Max peeked out from behind Leela, curiosity evident in his eyes. "Hello there, young man." Alexander knelt down to Max's level, extending his hand. "I'm Alexander. Your mom and I are going on an adventure today." Max's face broke into a wide grin as he eagerly shook Alexander's hand. "Are you a superhero?" he asked innocently, eyes wide with wonder. "Only if you give me a cape," Alexander replied, his tone playful. "But I can teach you how to be one today. Are you ready for an adventure?" Max's excitement bubbled over, and Leela found herself laughing at the effortless connection forming between them. "We just built the best fort. You should see it," Max exclaimed, tugging at Leela's hand and leading Alexander toward the living room. "Let's take a look then," Alexander said enthusiastically, following Max into the fort. Leela watched as they crawled into the blanket hideaway, their laughter echoing against the walls. It was a sight that warmed her heart. Alexander seemed to fit seamlessly into her life, bringing an energy that sparked joy not only in her but in Max as well. "Wow, this is amazing," Alexander said, peering around the cozy space. "I think it's the best fort I've ever seen. You're a great builder, Max." "Thanks," Max replied proudly. "You're the first adult to come see it." "Well, I'm honored. Adults can be boring sometimes," Alexander said, sharing a conspiratorial wink with Max. "But I promise I'm not boring. Are you ready to go on our adventure?" Max's eyes lit up. "What's the adventure?" "That's a surprise," Alexander teased, standing up and extending his hand to Leela. "Are you ready for some fun, Leela?" "Absolutely," she replied, feeling the excitement bubble within her as she took his hand. The warmth of his touch sent a delightful shiver through her, making her pulse quicken. Leela knelt down, looking at Max. "You be good while we're gone, okay? No fort destruction and no eating too much candy," she said, raising an eyebrow playfully. "I promise," he grinned, his innocence radiating through. "I'll hold down the fort, Mom." Alexander led Leela outside, his hand still gently holding hers as they walked to his car. "I hope you're ready for a little adventure," he said, his expression serious yet playful. "Is it mysterious?" She teased back, her heart racing in anticipation. "Very," he replied, a glint of mischief in his eyes as he opened the car door for her, the gesture warming her heart even further. As they drove away, the sun blazed overhead, and Leela relished the feeling of being in his presence. The conversation flowed easily, as it had the day before, touching on everything from their favorite ice cream flavors to childhood dreams. Leela found herself laughing more than she had in years, forgetting the weight on her shoulders, if only for a little while. Eventually, they arrived at a vibrant farmer's market, bustling with life and color. Booths lined the pathways, filled with fresh produce, homemade goods, and artisanal crafts. The scent of blooming flowers and baked bread filled the air, mingling with the laughter of children and the chatter of people enjoying the warm day. "Welcome to my favorite spot in town," Alexander announced, stepping out of the car and holding the door open for Leela. "Here, you can find everything from fresh strawberries to handmade jewelry. Plus, there's usually live music." "I've never been here before," Leela admitted, stepping onto the cobblestone path, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's lovely. Let's wander," he suggested, intertwining their fingers as they walked through the bustling market. The vibrant colors and sounds wrapped around them, forming a magical backdrop for their adventure. They began at a booth filled with fresh flowers, and Leela couldn't help but smile at the sight of sunflowers, their cheerful faces beaming up at her. Alexander noticed her gaze and picked up a small bouquet, handing it to her. "For your collection," he said, his tone light. You can never have too many flowers. Leela accepted the bouquet, and her